Hello everybody, it is of course Nick back again one more time, talking to you again about subjects strange and bizarre and confusing and complex, because that's what I do. So now I'm going to go back to the subjects of cartomancy, because I think you need to think about it more, and I think you need to think about it differently, but this is just me talking, so you're going to have your own points of view, you're perfectly free to disagree with me, and that's essentially all there is to it. Right, I have, to my right, two different sets of cards, both of them alleged divination decks. Let's have a look at the first one. Nice box, pretty imagery, nice bit of silvery, lettering and all the rest of that. Looks good. But what is it? It's fun, but stupid. Alright? The type of answers you get on the cards on this deck is simply, it is, weather permitting, it could be, it's basically a yes-no deck. That's all it's about. So there we go. There's a yes written there, and what else can we have here? Accept your fate. So it's not really the most cheerful deck in the world. Can you do genuine divination from this? No. It's a novelty deck. It's done for fun. It's done for a laugh. It's done for, you ask a different question. There we go. It's stupid. It's the sort of thing that you would probably do for a laugh with your friends, rather than necessarily to be taken seriously as a way of looking at yourself through self-analysis, or for your spiritual development, or indeed for apparently trying to find things out. Now let's just try and move on to another one, a very popular tarot deck. And we have the amazing Book of Thoth Tarot, which is what I use when I'm working on the phones for the most part. Why? Because the imagery is good. It's not too intense, it's not too celestial, but it does have very good emotional expressions in it. I mean, let's have a look at some of the pip cards there. Alright, the artistry, the use of colour and shape and form explains something about the meaning of the cards. It gives an emotion, and it gives the emotion in a rather articulate way. Sure, with the minor arcanas, there's little words at the bottom which tell you what it's supposed to stand for. But that doesn't always go sufficiently into the depth of the experience. So if you want to use this deck for contemplation, meditation, to build up a better repertoire of different varieties of energy you want to play with, or indeed for more genuine psychic work, then the Crowley Thoth deck is bad. This card I love. Okay, it's a Three of Swords, and it's labelled as sorrow. But look at the colours. Look at the darkness, look at the expression, the feelings of misery, alright, which is present within that colouring and in that patterning. And then you can see that that's got its own particular feeling to it. Another more negative card, if I can find one at random. This one's another negative card. It's the Seven of Discs, and it's labelled as failure. And by comparison, there's much more dark, despairing energy within this artistry than in the previous one. So therefore the emotional expression of the deck is very good. So if you wanted to do a reading to look at where your emotions are in a particular situation, so you could do your contemplative self-developmental stuff, you wouldn't be looking at the words at the bottom of the cards. You would be looking at the artistry and seeing how the artistry affects your emotions, and whether it gives you another way of looking at the same problems that you're currently going through in life. Okay, if you're reading for yourself, you've got to be aware that you treat it as a reading for somebody else. Alright, and you write down the results of it, and you have a look at it the following day when your mind's fresh. Okay, that's essentially what you do if you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it for somebody else, it doesn't matter, because you're the reader, they're the client, and therefore the dynamic is very different. Also, there are some people who can read with a blank deck, because they're not relying upon the deck as the source. They're relying upon the positions to have some kind of meaning, so that they can then go into the subject of what's going on energetically with the person. A bit like, I don't know whether you've seen any videos of people who do radionics, and sometimes they would have a picture of a human body, and they will be doing their dowsing over the picture of the human body and placing crystals on the picture of the human body, with presumably a witness sample of the patient nearby, so that all of the energy which is being generated and directed will then go to the patient via remote healing. Same kind of idea, okay? A symbolic representation of the dynamic of a situation expressed through blank cards. And then, you can feel with your hand above, all right? Or you can go into it mentally in terms of what each position is supposed to be there for. And then that becomes like a way of focusing your attention and your intention and your perception, specifically perception, in different directions for different things. So if you're using cards with imagery on them, then it becomes a different thing, because the imagery of the cards will actually influence or flavor the way in which you're reading and your interpretation. So then it's more a question of like trying to find your guidance, your conscience, or whatever it is inside you, which could point to which one of the specific images on the card would carry the right meaning. All right, now you could say that is from guidance, or you could say it is from your subconscious mind. That's up to you. I don't care. My impression is that there is both inner and outer sources which can then point to something. Let's say, this is the charioteer. All right, so what is it? Is it the cube form of the chariot I should be looking at? Is it to do with material world? Is it to do with stability? What do the wheels signify? Are they talking about journey and traveling? Why do we have 4 sphinx rather than just 2, which we would normally have when it comes to the charioteer? And is the number significant? And what about the type of creatures that they are? So what image is your inner guidance pointing to? What message is it? Is it just the color of the wheels and the fact that they are red? Maybe there's a warning going on. You have to allow your intuition to see the symbols so you can then latch onto it. But you don't want to use a deck like this under any circumstances. This is for cocktail parties and people getting pissed at Halloween night, not for serious work.